Hi, Janet. Welcome to our forum again.
Thank you.
Okay, so today, of course, we're going to talk about the election results
Yes.
and how that affects us in the future. So, you have questions?
Maybe comments.
Comments. Okay.
I'm just surprised at, how much of a difference there was in the amount of voting, like 800,000 votes separating the GDP and the, did I just say GDP, DPP? And
DPP.
Yeah, sorry. And the KMT. Because in earlier polls it had kind of suggested that everything was like neck and neck, and then all of a sudden it was just, wow, the KMT has 800,000 more votes. What happened?
Yeah, well, this is what basically all citizens' decision, and Chairman Tsai has already accepted the result and also apologized to the supporters, which really showed her leadership and also sportsmanship. Yeah, and there was a touching moment where she said she was going to resign from the chairmanship, and everybody was crying,
Yeah, that's right. It's really strange because we discussed it earlier, but I think in the Western world, if people resign, it's kind of seen as a sign of like bad sportsmanship or weakness.
Seriously?
Yeah. Like if on my part anyways, I would think that like if I was supporting a party and that person resigned after the vote, that they would feel kind of like, oh, I didn't do a good job, so I'm just going to resign now. It was kind of like a sore loser thing.
Is this a Canadian thing or no?
I don't know if it's a Western thing or a Canadian thing, or if it's just a Janet thing. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe it's just in my feeling. But I think a lot of other Westerners feel that way, not necessarily about this, but just generally. Yeah.
So the chairman should stay.
Yeah.
To present herself as being responsible.
Right.
Okay.
And from what I'm reading, it seems like it's exactly the opposite. It's like you present yourself accountable by leaving the top spot.
I see.
Is that the case? I mean, do Taiwanese people feel that it's better that she would resign?
Well, I guess a lot of people first reaction was shock, right?
Yeah.
And huge disappointment. And then when she said she was going to resign, then that sort of turned around the emotions. And they started to feel like, whoa, okay, I didn't expect this, right? It's just like the election result for the DPP supporters.
Right.
And I was readily accepting, because when they started to show the votes in the beginning, I thought, okay, she was winning, and I still had confidence. But so the numbers started to create a huge gap, and I started to like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna just take a little siesta. So I did, and when I woke up, and it was like, okay, I guess this was the result, and everybody was like crying, and people were like making comments like, what happened, and I'm gonna cry, I'm so nervous. On the internet, I was trying to calm everybody, like, okay, you know what, I think we should start to accept this truth. And so I just kind of started to do other things. And you've known me for a while, so you know I'm very rational.
Yes. In
many ways. So when she actually made the speech, like, we accepted the results and apologized, and okay, I'm going to resign and all that, and that didn't really come as a surprise, because I thought, you lost. And of course, you're the leader of the whole campaign. Of course, you should be responsible, because look at all the supporters online, or going to all these campaigns, and worked for her and the DPP, would feel, we needed something to hold on to. And I guess maybe that was a good strategy, maybe?
Well, I think, because I read that she actually has to resign anyways, because she's had 2 consecutive terms as the leader of the party.
Right.
So she has to resign anyways. Pardon me. Or she has to, step down after that time is up. So she really has to step down anyways. So, I mean, now understanding that, it's a little bit different, but I know it was so shocking, and I even had Western friends, on the internet, commenting, oh, I can't believe that this is real, what happened, and my Taiwanese friends also, all commenting, oh, what happened, and it's really strange when everybody is all a supporter of that person, but somehow, somewhere, everybody else was voting for someone else.
Right.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of important reasons why KMT would win. They actually made the voting date a little earlier.
Earlier, yeah, I saw that.
And so a lot of the Taiwanese in mainland China could come back to vote. And a lot of the Taiwanese in China, of course, are supporters more for Ma because of the Chinese tie with Taiwan.
Right.
So they all flew back and they enjoyed the cheap rate airfare. So that could be a huge factor. And there's another one, which was that there was this huge threat from somehow indirectly from the Chinese government saying if you don't accept our agreement, there is a so-called 9-2 agreement, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
They somehow agreed that this is one China and you can call it whatever, on both sides. You can say Republic of China and People's Republic of China, but it's one China. So they basically implied if you don't, accept this and if you vote for Tsai, then okay, we're gonna cut all the economic ties.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that was a huge threat.
Yeah.
And there were also KMT supporters that was saying, Tsai had the Yuchang scandal. There was actually basically, there were 83 something scientists who actually backed up for Tsai, saying that she was basically conscientious and there's no scandal.
Right.
But that still didn't really help.
And I heard on top of that too, the way that they put the voting was, university students who were supporting her during that time, they couldn't really go out and vote because they had their exams during that week. And also it's hard for people to take time off this week to get back to their, respective areas to cast the vote. So they were saying, the DPP, they were kind of saying that, oh, maybe this was some of the cause of the problem. Right. Yeah. But who knows? It could have been anything. But it
could have been anything, but they won. I mean, KMT won.
They did. But it's just so strange that there was such a discrepancy in not only in the number of voters that were predicted, but in such a large number of votes going to one side.
Not completely compared to the election in 2008 because I think they won 2 million votes. KMT.
Yeah.
And this time they've only won 800,000 votes.
Yeah.
And they got more seats for this election, which means that they can have more of a say in the legislation.
Right, it's going to be a minority government. We talked about this one.
Right.
Yeah.
So that can also sort of give Ma a little bit of pressure not to be so, what's the word? I was gonna say dictatorship.
I was gonna
It's
say
not.
crazy.
No. Be careful with what you say.
I think the time's already up anyway.
All right. But it's pretty sad that well, she's gonna leave the chairmanship for sure.
Yeah.
And I think she did her best, and everybody did their best, and I did my best. And we'll just see what we can do to make our government more efficient and think more for Taiwanese people.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.